Welcome to Heidi Relationships. Today, we'll read some more stories from Reddit. But before we start, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. That would help the channel a lot. Thank you very much in advance.
The first one is titled, My 34 meters, wife, 32F, applied for college and school loans behind my back and is threatening divorce if I don't agree with her decision. My wife and I have had a rocky relationship over the last few years. We have 2 young kids under 6. We are going to our second marriage counselor now and have been making progress on removing resentment and communicating better. I am the breadwinner in the relationship. My wife tends to want to spend any money that she has access to, and believes I care too much about money. She is not involved with any of the bills and gets stressed out if I try and have a serious conversation about budgets with her. She has a bachelor's degree and has been bouncing around doing different jobs related to her degree. She never seems to be content with what she's doing and is always looking to change something. She has brought up going back to school for a different degree for a number of years now. I have tried to be open-minded and understand where she is coming from, but considering our young family, our current financial responsibilities, and the fact she already has a great degree that she can do a lot with, it has been hard for me to be supportive of her ideas. We were fortunate enough to save up some money over the last year and were able to completely pay off her school loans. The next day she lets me know that she wants to quit her job, maybe work part-time to still bring in some money and go back to school to take out $60,000 in school loans. We had a discussion about what she wants to go for, how childcare would work, a few of my concerns, and she had some good ideas and had put a good amount of thought into it. When it came to asking for a timeline, she admitted that she had already applied, been accepted, and was waiting for my approval to sign the school loan acceptance. She then let me know that it was in the ballpark of $60,000 for this degree. As soon as I mentioned any apprehension to that financial and time commitment, I was told that I care more about money than my family. I found this truly hurtful as I have worked hard to be where I am to be able to provide a comfortable life for my family. I do hold resentment for sacrifices I had to make at the threat of her breaking up our family in the past. As soon as the conversation got tougher about going back to school, she told me our values are too different, that I hold money above everything else, and that she will do this without me if I'm not on board. The conversation is not resolved, and I feel very hurt, and I am convincing myself more and more that this is not all right for a spouse to hang over their partner's head. My wife suffers from depression, has been seeing her own therapist, and has not been improving. Any obstacle she experiences, her first reaction is to quit, regardless of what's at stake. I am not free of fault, as I have made my own mistakes as well over the relationship. We have another marriage counseling session tonight, and I am losing motivation right now to try and fight for this relationship, besides trying to give my kids the best life possible. My question for you fellow Redditors: do I bend over and fake a smile in hopes that this new career and life path brings my wife the fulfillment she thinks she's looking for? Or do I call her bluff and tell her she's doing this on her own if she wants to burden herself with such a debt and time commitment, while agreeing to break up my family? Update. Just got done with our marriage counseling session. The counselor was on my wife's side and did not care or want to hear about any ultimatum. I am supposed to be more compassionate to my wife's feelings and desires and need to support her on this decision. Basically, I was given the same scenario by the counselor: if I want to stay in this marriage, then this is something my wife has to do. I will still be looking into protecting myself and consulting a lawyer. Thank you to everyone who responded and provided their advice and opinions. A user in the comments said, "How funny that she's accused you of devaluing your family when she can't seem to make a single sacrifice in the name of family herself. You have kids. I assume you'd like them to have the option of going to college without taking on massive amounts of debt, so money needs to be set aside for that. You also have every right to want a nice house in a good school district, an array of extracurricular activities to choose from, good clothes, and healthy food for your kids. All of those things cost money. Your wife could work a job related to her current degree and make money to put herself back through school. Plenty of people do. She doesn't need to rely solely on your income to do it. The real problem here is that your wife is selfish. She's unwilling to put the needs of the family above her own and, honestly, that doesn't make for a great spouse or parent. Call her bluff. You don't deserve to be manipulated. Another user said, I call it the grass is greener syndrome. Which is always a failed approach in life. Look how her jobs have worked out. She does sound a little mentally unbalanced. Her plan makes it seem she does not want to spend time with the kids, family. Securing a loan without your input is a rip-crap huge deal-breaker in a marriage. Obviously, there is more going on than this. There is the thing called owning a home, building equity, kids' college and retirement. Kids actually get more expensive as they get older. Kids' college is in 12 years. Retirement, you should have a good start on it. My only advice is to starting thinking about actions. Look into separation and divorce and how that is going to go. What can you do to prepare for it? What about a post-nup? Or telling her that is her debt to carry? Actions tend to scare the crap out of spouses. And you will most likely see her true colors. Either OMG what have I been doing, or flip out and say crap like I should have never married you and had kids. The next one is titled, Update. My, 34 meters, wife, 32F, applied for college and school loans behind my back and is threatening divorce if I don't agree with her decision. Considering my first post got a ton of advice and responses, I thought I would give a brief update. After the original post, I was preparing for the end of my marriage. I was a mess and had a number of very weak moments. I will give my wife credit. She did see how hurt and distraught I was, and she did provide comfort and support. As mad as I was at her, it was needed and allowed us to be vulnerable enough to admit some 3 things that were hard to hear. Our first couples counseling after the incident seemed like a joke when discussing our situation, but reflecting and talking it out like adults with my wife, I have learned a number of things. First, my wife agreed to not pursue furthering her college until we had looked over all the options and tried to figure it out together. She felt like she had tried to have conversations about her furthering her education and thought at this point her only option was doing it alone behind her back. I have been very dismissive of the idea, and it causes a lot of stress and anxiety to me about the financial and emotional burden that comes with it. This is partly my fault for not listening and understanding what she was feeling and what she needs in her life. Looking back on it now, I was upset that my wife and marriage counselor were not concerned about me being given an ultimatum about our relationship unless I allow my wife to burden us with more debt and disrupting our lives for her benefit. It was not fair of me to be the decision maker on what her life looks like, but it is both our faults for not communicating better over the last few years. Our marriage is not fixed by any means, but we have agreed to give it 6 months to a year to see if we can figure out and fix what is broken. In the almost 2 weeks since I made the original post, we had a number of very nice moments and have communicated and gotten along better than we have in years. We have learned things about each other that we didn't know and have enjoyed each other's company. This could and may be short-lived, but I am naively optimistic that we can keep our family together. I am still preparing for my backup plan in case things do not work out. Thank you to everyone who gave their opinions on the situation. The next one is titled, When My Best Friend Cheats, What Do I Do? I discovered that he is cheating on his wife, and I try to stay out of it, but it's difficult when I see them together and she is doing everything she can to please him and be faithful to him. She even asked me to help her in planning his birthday party next week. When I finally confronted him, he said, "You owe me this. I was there for you during your divorce. Give me some time, and I'll figure it out." What irritates me the most is that he is right. He's always been there for me and has helped me a lot. I had an abusive ex-husband, and he stood by my side until I was finally able to get rid of him. I'm furious about it, and I'd like for this nonsense to end, but I don't want to hurt his wife's feelings or end their marriage. Help, please. Update. I greatly appreciate your help and advice. I've read all of your comments and have decided to put my morals ahead of his friendship. Although he may be a great friend, infidelity is not acceptable. And it never will be. Just spoke with him and told him he had 2 days to tell his wife about everything. After some threats and nonsense, he finally agreed to tell her because he said, "It's time to make tough decisions," and he told me he had found the love of his life and want a divorce. I'm shocked. I thought it was an affair and that he would apologize and return to his wife. He appears to be head over heels for this new woman. I feel terrible, and I try to remind him that she is the one who has always been there for him. She works 2 jobs and has already paid off his debts. And he'd only known this new woman for 6 months. And that's not enough, it's not fair. I feel sorry for her. I'm speechless. Oh, I hate being in this situation. So, I guess I'll just wait and see what happens while supporting his wife. She just got him a bunch of presents and paid for 2 nights in a nice hotel for his birthday. I wish I had the power to change anything. A user in the comments said, "Tell him you will support him in his upcoming divorce, because that is how this situation will end, but you will not be complicit in creating pain for someone else. As a friend, you can support someone through their bad decisions, but that doesn't mean agreeing with them. True friends hold each other accountable and call them out on their BS. Sorry to say this a BS situation, and he's creating misery for everyone with his selfishness. That's a crappy move, trying to manipulate you to stay silent. The 2 situations are not the same." Another user said, "He's manipulating you. Comparing times when he was supporting you when you were trying to get away from an abusive relationship, to now, when he's cheating on his loyal wife. That's manipulation, and no good friend would stoop that low." The next one is titled, "Update. When my best friend cheats, what do I do? Now I'm completely stressed out. I can't reach him to see if he changed his mind because he's not returning my calls. His wife, on the other hand, is refusing to respond. I'm not sure what's happening there. This is the very last thing I need in my life right now. I already have enough drama crap *yx and working my tail off to make a decent living for my daughter. Not to mention checking my phone every 10 minutes to see if they've responded. Is she on the verge of collapsing? Is she all right? Is he accusing me of fabricating his story? It irritates me greatly. I'm worried because, even when she's mad, she always answers her phone. We haven't spoken in over a day. Is it possible that I'll end up losing both of them? Why should I suffer for other people's mistakes because it's not my fault?" A user in the comments said, "If he is avoiding you, it is a consequence of his actions. If his wife is avoiding you because she wants to believe him, that is her decision. You were an upstanding person by bring it to the surface. It's up to her if she wants to stick her head in the sand. Could this have cost you the friendship? Yes. But honestly, I would not want a friend with bad morals like that. I mean, if he can't keep his vows to his wife, how could you trust him to keep any promise to you?" Another user said, "Well yeah, you'll probably lose them both. You couldn't have thought he would remain your friend after you caught him. He's a lousy person who cheated on his wife. Why would he have any loyalty to you when you forced him to be honest? He sees you as an enemy now. As for her, if she believes him over you, she will also see you as an enemy. You couldn't have expected to stay friends with them, did you?" The next one is titled, "Final Update. When my best friend cheats, what do I do?" Finally, they called me last night and requested that I do not contact them again. They refused to respond to any of my questions, let me know that they're working things out. My 10-year friendship has come to an end, and the wife now knows everything and has decided that I am the main problem in all of this. Today's lesson: choose your battles wisely. The next one is titled, "My buddy said he was going to kill the man who was sleeping with his wife." Back in circa 2000, I was a U.S. Navy corpsman attached to a Marine Corps infantry unit. We, docs, are the healthcare providers who are embedded with the Marines, acting as paramedics, nurses, moms to the Marines. Every 6 months one of the 4 battalions on our base would deploy routinely to Okinawa, and we would leave behind Okinawa widows. We literally got a speech by our company gunny when we arrived in Okinawa: "What happens on this island, stays on this island. I found the speech sickening, but I was 21 and unmarried, so I didn't give it much thought. For those of you who never served in the US military, adultery is a pretty serious crime as we have our own criminal justice system, and the punishment is disproportionately inflicted on the most junior of our ranks. 6 months after our deployment, we returned to our sandy base in the desert of Southern California, and my buddy discovers that his wife had been cheating on him. Me, my buddy, and his wife were all E4, third-class petty officers. But Buddy's wife was sleeping with a Marine gunny, E7. My buddy was obviously furious. He did all the right things. He reported it to our chain of command, his wife's chain of command, the gunny's chain of command. But nothing happened. His complaints fell on deaf ears. Which is pretty ducked up, because if he had been sleeping with a gunny's wife, he would have been most definitely punished. Distraught and defeated, a bunch of us were trying to console him one night at the enlisted club on base over beers. With tears in his eyes, he looks up to the ceiling and declares, "I'm gonna kill that son of a witch." Now, my buddy isn't the most military of our squad. He's a bit overweight and much more into video games than violence. After all, we were all corpsmen, the medical caregivers. Many of us were non-combatants. Chill out, dude. You're not going to kill him or anyone. Yeah, you're probably right, he replied. Fast forward to about a month later. We're all in the aid station for morning roll call, but Buddy isn't there. He finally shows up just before lunch, and I notice he's been demoted to E3. He looks upset. We gather around him. Dude, what the hell? I told you, I was going to kill him. You didn't kill anyone, I retort. If you did, you wouldn't be sitting in that chair to tell us. What happened? I told you, I killed him. Buddy was in charge of our health records computer system, which was connected to the base hospital. The day after we had the beers where he declared he would kill the gunny, he went into the health records system and changed the gunny's status to deceased, cause of death, venereal disease. 3 weeks after he changed Gunny's record, the gunny went for a checkup and the hospital staff was very confused. And when the gunny found out he was dead and how he died, there was an investigation. So, my buddy got charged and convicted of conduct unbecoming, or whatever. He got demoted a rank, lost half his pay for 6 months, and had extra duty assigned for 6 months. Worth it, he said with a smile. The next one is titled, Ruining a Wedding Reception for Fun and Profit. When I was 13, so 8 years ago, my dad remarried, after divorcing my mom 4 years before. Before the divorce, his fiancée had been his mistress. My mom is completely better off without him, and ignoring the fact that I wouldn't exist, I don't think she should have married him in the first place. Even if I think my parents weren't a good match, that's no excuse to cheat on your wife. This woman was ducking vile in all sorts of ways. She constantly belittled me, made fun of the fact I needed to take pills for my mental illness, despite being a ducking pharmacist. I don't get it either, and was generally awful to me and my siblings. But she was a decade younger than my dad and reasonably hot, so he didn't give a crap how she treated us. The one time he actually listened to us about her is when they were thinking of having a baby, and my brother said he'd ask our mom to sue for full custody of us if they did. So anyway, they got married. I was a bridesmaid, cause that witch had no real friends. The other 2 bridesmaids were her sister and my sister. My brother was the best man, because she didn't like my dad's best friend. He and my dad still don't talk to this day, even though the guy was like an uncle to me as a little kid. It was a wedding, everything went normally. But at the beginning of the reception, before the first dance, we were taking pictures in front of a chocolate fountain, looking like the happy family we never were and would never be. I'm on the autism spectrum, and have a problem maintaining eye contact. This extends to looking at a camera. So, when we had to retake a photo because I wasn't looking, she leans down and whispers something in my ear. I'm not going to repeat it, but it involved the R word. I don't like saying it. Anyway, I kinda snapped, and decided she was gonna pay for this. No one noticed, or at least no one called me out, when I started slowly moving the chocolate fountain towards the edge of the table. When it got to the edge, it makes contact with the back of that pure white wedding dress and slowly drips down. By the time she notices, it looks like she's crap herself. But for all anyone else knows, this was an accident. She has no spare dress, and that stain is not coming out. So, first dance, cutting the cake, speeches, everything. This woman has what looks like a crap stain on the back of her dress. It was a small revenge, but it was so worth it. What's supposed to be the happiest day of this stupid woman's life, and she's gonna remember that stain every time she thinks about it. They never did get the stain out. And nobody knew it was me. Until now, I guess. Hi family, if you're reading this. Susie, you're a cow and you deserved that chocolate stain. This is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the relationship stories. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video and write a comment. I really appreciate your support and it helps my channel so much. Thank you.